Sure.
Live.
Let's hit it.
Okay, we're good.
Hey, everybody, it's Dale Jr. Here for the Dale Jr. Download. We are back in the studio, as you can see, which is pretty awesome. This is the Ask Junior portion of the podcast. Obviously, you're watching us via the Dirty Mo Media YouTube, so we appreciate the support to that. This segment of the show is brought to you by Xfinity, the premier partner of NASCAR and of this podcast, and your partner for fast internet. They are just such great friends of the sport. You know that they sponsor the Xfinity series, but they've been involved in our sport for a really long time. I got to tell you right out of the gate, we are sitting down just starting to record this podcast, and I had a root canal today. So, yeah, I had one at. It's funny. So I was going to save the root canal story for the open segment, but maybe you'll want to hear this. I've only had one, and about 15 years ago was when I got it. And I had it earlier today around 11:30 or 12 o'clock. And I went home, went to sleep. Amy was on the couch, so I laid in her lap. And that's an instant night-night, take a nap when that happens. So, I guess still a little numb, as you can tell, still a little, still not everything working the way it's supposed to. But anyways, I had this root canal 15 years ago, and it's the only one I've ever had. And I went into the dentist to get a cleaning. You know, we're all going back to the dentist to get the cleaning that we need, and it's been a while. And I didn't have any pain or discomfort or anything, but he did X-rays. They just, everybody's getting their X-rays redone again. All of us are going through this process when we go back to the dentist. And he's like, "Hey, man, that root canal that you had a long time ago, he didn't do it. Another guy did it." He's like, it's got some issues, and we need to take a look at it, and I'm gonna send you over to this other guy. I don't even know the name. I don't even know the name of the doctor that did the work today, but it's this strange name that I'd never heard of.
Like his name, or what
No,
kind
the
of
dentist,
dentistry he
the
does?
dentistry.
Like what?
Oh.
The orthopedic, the one that does those
Starts
surgeries.
with EC.
Yeah, what is that?
Etherdontist or no?
No, I got it right here. Hold on.
Well, it's not your speed dial dentist. Is
Endo.
what you're saying. Oh, endodontist.
Yeah, whatever that is. I don't know. But anyways, I'd never heard that word before. But this guy was incredible that worked on me today. But I go in there to get this root canal taken care of. And they're just going to redo it, I guess. So I go in there, and crazy thing, 2 weeks before this, and I may be violating some laws here, but 2 weeks before this, Amy had the same procedure on the same exact tooth as me. Same problem. We both went back to the dentist. We both had the same root canal. We both had the same root canal on the same tooth with the same issue. And so she gets sent to this guy. She has the same thing done. Well, I go get checked up at the dentist. I go and find out I have the same problem with the same tooth, and they send me in there. And as soon as I sit in the chair, the dentist, this guy goes, "Would you send your wife in here to check to make sure all this is going to be okay?" And she was the guinea pig, and if she came out okay, you were going to come in. He gave me a hard time. Anyhow, he goes and does this. Really, they put me in this thing where it kind of rotates around your head to get a really in-depth exam of your tooth. Much better than just a traditional X-ray. If you ever had an MRI or anything like that, it's kind of similar to that. And he's showing me this X-ray as he's getting ready to go in there and work on my tooth. He's like, "Hey, here's the roots, and they've been treated. Well, there's this third root that's not treated. That's not like a traditional root canal, what I'm seeing there. And that looks like there might be a tool in there that broke off when this guy first did your root canal 15 years ago." Whoa. Those tools that they use are really tiny.
Anybody seen that drill? Anybody?
Yeah. And so
This is like a Grey's Anatomy episode right
he's
now.
he's like, "Look, I don't know if that's what it is, but I'm not seeing what I traditionally see in this root. And so I don't know if I can get that out. And if I can, I'm going to have to come in from the side, and we'll just this is going to be a little tricky. I'm nervous. I'm getting worried."
Yeah.
Well, he gets in there and digs around, and I plug in I don't know how you guys are to dentists, but when the drills come out, I put on the headphones and I plug my earbuds in. I got these, earbuds that are molded just like the race car drivers. and I'm rocking away as hard and loud as I can so I can't hear that drill. And he's digging around in there and doing everything he's supposed to do. And after about 5 or 10 minutes, he kind of sits back and he's talking to the other nurse in there. And so I turned my music off and I was like, hey. Of course, I can't really talk real well, but he's like, I got the tool out. And I was like, so it was a tool. It was really in there. It really did. It's like a little fine, tiny little bit that broke off. He's like, yeah. And I was like, and it came out. You didn't have to come into the side. That's so good. He goes, yeah, it came right out. And so.
Did you keep it?
No, I don't want to. No,
I
Matthew.
want to see it.
No, you don't want to see it. So it's this tiny little, it's like a sliver of, it's a piece of metal. It's a little drill bit.
A little drill bit. That's
a
exactly.
tiny little drill bit. That's all it is. And so all these years, 15 years, I've been walking around with that thing in my tooth.
Jeez.
And a root canal that was like 66% finished.
This is the redneckiest story I think I've ever heard. I
what about this is redneck?
Hold on.
Kyle.
It starts off with the matching root canals that you and your wife have now got.
That's circumstance.
Did you get an airbrush T-shirt one day?
And then it's basically the punchline to a Jeff Foxworthy joke where if your dentist
I will promise
has broke off his drill bit in your tooth.
I'll promise you, during the entire experience, not once did I ever think any of it was rednecky. I was just really disappointed, but thankful for this guy because he took care of it. And you know what? I met another dentist that I think is as good as the one I already know, Mike.
Hold up. Now, I don't even know if everyone here.
Now
in
he
this
isn't
room-
the exact same type of dentist. He's not. He's not your traditional. Hey man, I got a cavity, or I'm coming to get my teeth cleaned. He does this extra
the endo
cool work.
The outdo and the endo.
He does the hard work.
Dentistry.
Yes,
got it.
Now he's at another level.
Yeah.
And he's equally as awesome.
Yeah. So my point
Brad
always
Haynes
was
is my original dentist.
Yeah, my point always was people treat you that way because you're Dale Jr.
Right.
You said no, this is just the way dentists are. Now you just bring this up to argue for your point. I'm thinking it argues my point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm thankful because he was extremely. This was a really. He saw it and he goes, ugh, this is unique. Not. Be prepared for whatever we got to do here. And I'm like,
this was a 1992 model. We shouldn't have that in your tooth. This definitely has been upgraded.
He's like, man, I don't see this every day. And he was kind of preparing me for the worst. And he got in there, man, and did the work. And I walked out of there and he's like, hey, we're going to be great. So he put a little medicine in there, temporary feeling, sent me down the road in about 4 weeks.
Somebody on our YouTube chat has had this exact same thing happen.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Never know. He said, I've had this happen. Piece of the file they used to scrape the root canal was broke off in my tooth.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, where I'm at now is they medicate it, they put a temp filling in there, and then I go back in 4 weeks to get another look at it, make sure that the infection or anything in there in the gums is gone. I had no swelling, no pain, nothing. And so I'm glad that I went to my dentist to get looked at in the first place to find this issue. And hopefully when we go back in 4 weeks and he looks at it again, he can put the final filling in there and I can get on down the road. But I was hoping that by time we did this podcast today that I wouldn't still be numb. But I don't know. Maybe I wonder if you go to sleep when your mouth's numb, whether that slows down the sort of getting back to normal thing. Because normally after, I don't know, this was...
Usually takes about an hour.
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock, and I was out of there at 1, and I'm still numb. I bet when you go to sleep, your body, everything kind of slows down and shuts down. And
See me, I get so drugged up because
I've
got a fear of dentists that if I got a root canal, I'd be done for the rest of the day.
Well, I'm just saying, I think that in a 3-hour period, typically this goes, the numbness is gone an hour and a half or so. It's crazy it's still here, but they maybe put a little something serious in there.
Maybe they put a little extra in there.
Put a little extra in there for the root canal part. I didn't feel a thing. Anyways.
So that's our Ask Junior segment. I appreciate everybody.
I hijacked the Ask Junior segment and actually used some of our open segment content.
That's right.
But anyways, I want to turn it back over to you, the viewer and get some of your questions in here. So, Leah, send them on in.
Yeah, everybody wants to know what you thought of your weekend in Homestead. Everybody was super, super excited, super proud of you. What were your thoughts?
I was truly, genuinely nervous about just starting the race without any idea of what the car was going to be like. And the other thing too is you got to go down into turn one with a lot of guys around you that are in those cars every week, so they're going to go in there probably with a ton more confidence than I will. They've already been through this process of racing without practice and laps, and so they know what to expect, and I didn't, and I felt nervous that I would underdrive turn one so much that somebody might run over me, really, and that was a concern initially, just to get through the first couple corners. And I'm telling you, I felt it as soon as I was coming off into gas, accelerating off of turn two, and looking around at the cars around me and noticing that they were accelerating at the same rate, and that I had survived that initial entry into one and not screwing anything up or getting run over. I had a real sigh of relief and a big weight off my shoulders, off my chest, and then it was just about how good a car we had. We started running that first stage, and we were moving forward a little bit, but not. I didn't feel like the car was really incredible at that point or anything special, and I didn't have a ton of speed compared to the guys around me. I was as good as they were, maybe even not good compared to some of the guys out front. Like we were, a lot of guys were driving away from us. Anyways. I was thinking, we're going to run hard here to finish fifth, real hard to finish in the top five. And then things kind of came to us. I feel like that I got a little more comfortable and got better with the car and track and found some lanes and grooves and some angles that were making speed for me. In turn 1 and 2, particularly, I thought, typically I love 3 and 4. We were right around the fence. Well, I couldn't make speed up there like I wanted to, so I had to, when I could get the car to work real well, I wanted to run in third groove and split that seam, put the lefts underneath it. But in 1 and 2, I found this really cool thing where you could drive in super low, really hard, all the way up to the center of the corner. And if you did that at any other racetrack, you would just plow, have to slow way down and kill the exit of the corner and all the way down and be slow all the way down the next straightaway. Well, for whatever reason, I don't know why, and there's a lot of reasons why this could be happening, but I could drive down in there really deep and really shallow and get to the center of the corner and the car would turn, and I could accelerate off the corner as fast as the guys that had used the high entry and were up against the wall. But entering low and hard, I could gain almost like 5 car lengths on that guy. And so I love that. I also found an entry that was high into one and turned down in the center and run off kind of low. And I'd seen some drivers like Joey Logano and other guys use that in the past, and I was able to make that work. I could not run the fence in turn 1 and 2. If I was against the wall from the center off of turn 2, my car just plowed really bad and killed any gain or momentum that you would be trying to create on the high side. So you run the high side to get the run off the corner to be super fast down the straightaway. And if I was so tight against the wall in turn 2 that I wasn't making any speed there. So cutting down and running underneath or running that third groove or a little lower, I really enjoyed that. That's why I picked that track, because you can move around, you can change, you can be doing something completely different than the guy that you're racing with to pass him and find speed. A lot of racetracks don't provide that. A lot of racetracks, everybody has to work in the same groove, and that's really frustrating. So I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I would have had it been in a traditional race weekend with, practice, qualifying, and all the bells and whistles, the fun sort of process of going through the race weekend, and the fans. There are a couple times on the racetrack when you're out there racing and you look up in the grandstands and go, man, it's just surreal that we're actually doing this and no one's here to enjoy it. But that was initially my first experience with it. Now, these guys I'm racing with have been doing this for weeks, and maybe it's something that's kind of become normal to them. But for me, that was a bit interesting to see for the first time. And, when I got done, I was happy. And I our cars just wouldn't take off on the short run. We saw it in the next race the following day with Noah again, late race yellow. He'd been dominating the race. Our cars didn't fire off. And I guess the only way to explain that to people watching is when we get the green flag and go down in the corner and we turn the front tires, the car just slides the fronts, and the guys around us are able to go. They're able to turn, and they're able to get back in the gas and go. They can go really fast for like 3 corners. Then, after about 3 corners, a lap and a half or 2 laps, our cars begin to work extremely well, even better than everyone else around us, and we're able to drive back by them. And then eventually, you saw Noah be able to dominate like he could on the long run, but we were so vulnerable for those first 3 or 4 corners. And when it comes down to a short run, we were gonna lose the race, and so that's kind of how that all worked out. But still, I really enjoyed it. I would like to do one more. I know for a fact that we're gonna have to sit down and talk about that and where that might be. And this is my personal objective going forward. I'm not talked to Kelly, who's a big part of this company and an owner in it, or anyone else, any of our sponsors. But what I would like to do is I'm going to keep a really good eye on the Martinsville race when the Xfinity cars go there this year. And if that race looks fun to me, by what I see those guys going through and what they're doing on the racetrack and how that race plays out, that will be probably the race I'd like to try next year. So when I say fun, like when you watch the Truck Series race there, they run over each other and beating on each other every corner, and it's sort of who can survive, the carnage of the day. And you're just hopeful that you can be one of those 2 guys toward the front that can get a little distance on everybody, so you're just not getting run over every corner. Those truckers beat on each other pretty hard in the Martinsville races that I've seen, and I've watched them. I've been there and seen them, and it's fun to watch, but it's not something that I know that I think I want to be in the middle of. So when I watch the Cup races there, they're so long, you don't have enough race car to beat on everybody that much all day long. You have to save a little bit here and there and watch your brakes and take care of your car so that you can have what you need at the end. So I'll watch this Xfinity race. I know it's a short race, just like the truck race, but if those guys sort of race instead of just knocking each other out of the way every corner, I might be interested in doing some of that.
Matt Webster says, congrats on the top 5 finish, but let's talk about something more important. Have you raced the 87 Cup cars on iRacing?
Yeah, of course. iRacing came out with the
legacy.
Well, they iRacing's always sort of been in the now and created content that's current, and this is the first time with this software that they've done anything that's a throwback, or well, that's not true. Actually, on the road course side, they do have some historic cars, so I'm wrong there. But on the oval side, there's not been an historic car that they've created, and so they did 87 Monte Carlo and Thunderbird, and paired that up with North Wilkesboro's release that we were a part of, and so. I love it. I love the service. I haven't been on it in about 2.5 weeks. I haven't ran a lap in a while with everything going on in the world, and just trying to, do what we need to do. I haven't been on the sim rig much, but looking forward to getting back to it here.
Next question coming from Connor Coral. What's the biggest difference between the up-and-coming drivers in Xfinity Series today versus when you were coming up in the Xfinity Series?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I can't compare them. I don't. These guys are younger, and that's probably not true. I would just initially say these guys are younger, more raw. But that could be incorrect entirely. I don't know really what the age or the data is behind that compared to my, when I came up in 98, 99. But I will say I love racing the guys that are in the Xfinity Series. I've always enjoyed it because you're going to watch a lot of those guys graduate and move up through the ranks and become grown men that are going to carry this sport and be such a big player in this sport. Imagine, imagine being able to follow multiple people's careers from their Xfinity series or Truck Series up through into a very successful long Cup career, and being able to really be an observer of that is so fun. But to have shared the racetrack with them when they were young, and you really get to. This is another fun part about it is I never get to sit down and talk to these guys. I never get to hang out with them. They don't want to hang out with me. They want to hang out with their friends. They want to do the things that they like to do. So we're not going to see each other away from the racetrack. We're not going to we're not going to pal around, and I'm not going to really get to know them as individuals the way that I would like to. But on the racetrack, believe it or not, you can really get to know the core of a person by the judgment and the decisions they make, and what they're willing to do to themselves, what they're willing to do to the people around them, the give and take. All those things signal sort of a lot of all those things sort of signal a lot about a guy's character and how he thinks and what he's willing to, whether he's willing to cut you a break or not, and or the other guy around him, how he drives that guy. You really get to see their body language while they're driving. And so it's a really cool way to understand who they are, what they're capable of doing, what they're willing to do. And that way, when you're in the booth and 3 or 4 years from now, I'm talking about a guy, for example, like Chase Briscoe. All right, say he's in the Cup Series 3 or 4 years from now battling for a win. I can almost understand what exactly he's getting ready to do in any situation he's in, because I've been on the track with him, and I know what he's capable of, and I know what what risks he's willing to take. We can learn that by watching, obviously, but we can also watching the races as a fan or observer. But you really can learn so much actually being in the car with them and following them around the track. So that's what I like it. They're all such great guys, and they all just want to succeed. They're all not sure about their futures, so they're hungry and ready to take a hold and seize opportunities. And that's like Harrison Burton. He was presented a chance to really stand out, and he did, and he succeeded. And Chase has done that. Austin's done that. Cindric, and so it's fun to watch that. That series is just a fun series. There's a. Sorry, Siri, I didn't mean to call you. Do you know I guess you might say there's a difference between college football and the NFL. I see the same sort of difference between the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. The college players are trying to make their mark. They're trying they're laying it all on the line and taking these really big risks as players, and they know they have to. This is their time, right, to really get to that next opportunity. And that's what I see in the guys in the Xfinity Series. And nobody's promised anything, and they have to go out there and make it happen.
All right, guys, that's all we have time for today. We got a lot of show.
Honestly, I wish one day we could get to where we could just do this whole show on YouTube and let everybody kind of eavesdrop on how we do our show. Sorry for hijacking the first half of the Ask Junior with my story about the dentist.
No, it's all good. I mean,
but
it's real. Who cares?
How else would we know about his and her root canals?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! But I hope everybody's doing well. Thanks to Xfinity for sponsoring this segment of the show and being a partner for our podcast. They're a partner of NASCAR, premier partner of NASCAR, and your friend and partner for Fast Internet. I am a customer.
He is
a paying customer of Xfinity Internet service. So I can promise you that it's one of the great things about my life is I get to be a paying customer of all these brands and that we support and support us. And I can tell you, I enjoy it. It's good service.
I would, before we go out, I would assume that saying Xfinity with your face numb would be very hard.
Well, Mike, this is like I said, this is 3.5 hours ago.
Yeah, so
gained some function back.
He's gotten his X's back.
Yeah,
Xfinity.
The P's are tough.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Pocono, everybody.
No, it's
Who
not.
wants to?
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see y'all later.